Welcome to my studio and welcome to video number 8. I wanted to talk about this grid system that I've been using, and I did a drawing of this photograph right here. This is a picture that I took up in Camden, Maine, and you're not going to get much more complicated subject matter to draw than this right here. But I was able to simplify it with the grid system, and I want to show you a little bit how I did that before we get into the drawing for this video number 8. Okay, this is the finished drawing, and I don't know if you can see this within camera, but I've got the grid system drawn in the same scale as it is on the photograph here. And most people looking at this would get a little intimidated by all the detail. But if you break it down into little pieces and take each one of those little individual sections, for example, if I took this section right here, this one right here, let me isolate it here so you can see it a little better. And now this is not a complicated section to draw. It's pretty simple actually. If you come over here, same thing. It's much simpler than looking at the whole picture. And so if you break a picture down like this, pretty soon you've got all your pieces in place, and I can't emphasize enough that you want to be able to make sure that they blend together, that you don't just stop at one spot. You have to realize that it goes into the next grid. But it breaks this picture down into manageable sizes. I thought that this drawing was probably a little bit too complicated for people just learning how to draw, and so it's a little more advanced from what we're covering in this tutorial. So we're going to do a picture that's a little simpler. It's still a nautical scene, as you can see. I've got a grid drawn here that matches the grid I drew on here, and if you are wondering how I did this, you can check out video number 5, and I cover that. But let's get started here. We're going to transfer this drawing into this space, and first thing I want to do is I want to locate this bow point right here, and it sits almost right on that line, right about there. And then it comes back over to here, just about there. Now, all this is just kind of eyeballing, guessing. It's not that mathematical. And so you don't have to be that precise. It just has to look right when it's done. So I'm going to lightly connect that. Actually, it curves a little bit more like that. That's why you want to do the lines light, because you want to be able to erase and make corrections. And it comes over here a little bit further and a little bit further down, right about in there, and it comes across, and then it comes all the way over to this point right here, just a little bit, about even with this one, right about there. It kind of comes down just a little bit like that. And then it ends up right up in here. Put this right here. It ends up, if it's in this block right here, right about there. And you just connect those points lightly. Now, this line comes straight down, right about there. There's a little ledge back here, a little deck back here, and that kind of comes up like that. And then it slopes down to about in here. And then there's the other side of the boat is right here, and that goes just above the if this one is right here, this is just slightly below it right there. So if we draw a line across here, we know this point is just slightly below it right there. Just put a light line there. I'm going to do these lines darker than what you would do them in a drawing because they need to show up on the camera. So let me go ahead and darken that a little bit. And let's see. Actually, this line comes down there like that. Actually, this shelf goes out further, about there, like that. And then this piece right here comes roughly right in there. Okay. Now the back of the boat sits just inside there, like that. Comes down and around, and then it ends up about this, goes back like that. This line right here comes down there, and that's about where the back of the boat ends up. Let's put a line, this is a double line through here. Just give it an extra line right there. Comes up to about there. Okay. Now there's a water line that comes across here like that, and then it follows all the way up to right about in here, as you can see right there. So it's about like that, put in there. So if I take this water line and I draw it, and I kind of curve it up like that. And now at this point, it sort of curves down a little bit because we've got the bow right here. And the bow comes down like so, and this water line kind of curves over towards it like that. Now this bow is going to come down past that water line, and then it's going to make a curve right here. And now it's hard to see this because it's in shadow, but there's a keel that sticks down here, and it comes just down past right about midpoint right there. There's a little part that sticks out that the rudder sticks or is anchored to, attached to, and then this piece goes up here. And so let's get that in there. Comes down like that. Now this piece comes across, and it intersects all the way out here. Okay, now the back side of the boat right here comes out, and it comes up at an angle like that. Okay, good so far. Now put the cabin on there, and there's a muffler that sits right here, and it goes just up here above this line. So it's like this, and there's a little gap between there. So it comes down like that, and let's just bring that on down. And then it comes out, the muffler pipe comes up there, here. Let me take that, yeah, that's about right there. But this muffler pipe goes up quite a bit higher. About right about in there. And then the top of the cabin is over here, and it comes about out into just slightly, not quite halfway. And there's another little layer right there, thickness. Okay, and then this piece comes down like that, and it goes back like that. Okay, and then the top of your cabin is underneath the roof is right here, and this part of the top of the cabin almost goes straight across and touches this grid over here. And there's a little piece that comes down here that matches this piece on that side. And I can't really see, I think it's just a short little piece right there where they have the numbers for the boat attached. Just put it like that. Now, the inside the cabin comes right about to there. This window right here, it's right about to there, and then down. And right here, this is the edge of the roof, but the actual back cabin is, I think it's right in here. And so I think this comes across like that. That's what's happening there, okay. And that goes down right about to there. So I'm going to take this little line out right here. Okay. Now there's a window right here. You put that in. And then there's another window showing in a door, like right over here. That comes down like this. Then there's another door. The other side of the door is over here. Let's get that straight like that, okay? Then it comes right down there. There's a window in here. Now there's a window over here. There's another window. Then there's some, it looks like there's a little shelf right here. I need to get that over further like that. There's a little shelf there. And you got some stuff sitting on the shelf. Actually, that goes across like that. Some bottles. Probably everybody's lunch. Although I don't think they have anybody on the boat now because the tide is out. Okay, now this other part, there's a deck right up here, and you can see the part of it right there, and then part of it over here. So it goes across like that, and then it comes down like this, and then out here it goes around like that. Okay. Now, what else have we got here? We've got some lobster traps, crab traps, or some of the fishing gear. I don't know, that's not really the traps there. Okay, we just indicate those. Now, if we go back down here, where the rudder sits right in here, right up there like that. Oh, no, it doesn't. Actually, it's right about there. So the rudder sits right about in here. And it comes down like, let's see, it's right about in there, it comes down like that. Like that. I want to clean this up a little bit. Right here. This line, use the pink pearls here, they race a little better. There's paper, okay. Get that out of there. And take that out of there. Get that out. And now the propeller. It's really hard to see what's going on there, but he comes in here like that, and there's a piece that goes up there, another piece is down here, and there's a blade right here. So just indicate that like that. This right here, this water line is a little bit wider. Okay. This got a line that comes up here, then it comes down like that. Okay. Now there's a piece of metal right here. I think it's when they bring the traps in, I think that's where it hits the side of the boat. So they put a piece of metal in there. It looks like a piece of copper. I'll put that in there. There's another boat sitting over here, but I don't know if I'm going to include it. But I think I'll include the canoe. The canoe sits right. If I draw that line, the keel line right here on the canoe, it sits like about like that, and then it's like this. And then it's being blocked by some of the rocks and bushes and stuff like that. There's rocks that come right through here. I think I will include this boat right here. And it sits right about there. And they've got a cover over that boat, so it sits like that. There's you see some of the window bracing in here. There's a piece that goes through there like that. Another piece over through here. And then you see these windows on the backside through here. So they're like, they come down like that. Okay. All right, we're getting there. There's a couple of buckets sitting here. I don't know if we want to include those or not. Just go ahead and draw them in. We can decide later if we want to include them. It's got a shadow right there. There's a shadow right here underneath the boat that goes like that, and it comes all the way over to here. Let's see, it's more like this. Okay. Now we've got some more rocks that they start right about over in here. And there's another boat sitting here. And I'm just going to include it. It's like that. Oh, got that too far up there. So I'm going to, it sits about like that, include it there. And it goes over, drops down where the motor sits, goes up, comes across. And now that edge of that front of that boat is just about in line with this right here. So if I take it and okay, and it's sitting amongst on the beach there. There's a lot of rocks here. Some more rocks along here, and they come across there. And then the top of the rocks right up in here. And you've got bushes up here. Well, let's get back to the boat again. There's another sign up here that has the boat's number. And that's just right about there. I think it just goes like that. And there's a air conditioner, I think. That's what that is, an air conditioner unit. And then a small radar. These people, these Maine fishermen, they get some pretty nasty weather. There's a cable right here. It's probably the radio antenna. And it's right there. So if you just take that up like that, it's got some kind of device on it right here. I'm not sure what that is. All right, and then we've got another bucket right here. Okay, now the shoreline comes in through here like this, and then it comes around that way. And the rocky shore comes right across through here with bushes right around through here, and bushes are all over in here. And then they come down right here. There's a sort of a little path out to the beach. Okay, and more branches right there. Okay, now there's a bird sitting right here, and I think I want to include it. It's kind of comes down like that. It's got two little legs in the water there. Okay, and then there's some more rocks over here that the waves have carried in. Now, I could include this right here, but I'm not sure that I will, because it kind of distracts from the picture. So, as you can see, we've pretty much transferred this photograph to this piece of paper right here at a larger size. And now it's a point of, we'll start putting in some detail. Okay, you can see that I've shaded in quite a bit of this area right here. I'm going to add some powdered graphite here to kind of darken some of the areas a little more and kind of blend in some of the pencil lines. And let's see, let's get this underneath here. It comes down like that. And there's a little bit of a, where the crab pots probably hit right in there. And we'll put some up here. And some in here. Okay. Now that is where your brush comes in handy here. I can kind of brush that away a little bit, and makes a nice clean area there. Now I want to add some value down in here too. That's the shadow, and it's actually darker. This shadow is actually darker than this keel coming down here. So I'm going to put an edge right in through there where the two come together. And I'm going to darken this shadow here. Especially right next to the boat, it's really dark. Gets a little lighter as it gets a little further away from the boat, but this gravel doesn't reflect the light like the copper does, so and that kind of comes out like that. And it's down. Let's see here. I'm not sure if I think this has got to be over here more. Like that. Again, when you go to erase, make sure you make your correction first before you erase off the line that you're replacing. It gives you a reference point that way. And put this in here. Now looking at it again, it's real close up in here. That's very, very close in value. Remember, value is the light and dark quality of an area. A very light area will have referred to as having a high value or high value, whereas your darker areas are going to be very low value. All right, now for some reason I want to include this little bucket right here because it protrudes up into the hull area and it sort of adds some definition to that hull. There's a little shadow on it right there. Okay, let's see here. Just going to put that in there like that. This area right in through here is a little darker too. It's the very bottom of the hull. And soften that a little bit. There. Okay. So now we can work on this area up above here. Okay, I want to finish some of this area right here. And get the boat pretty well finished. I'm not going to there's some boxes in the back here, I'm going to leave those off because they don't really add anything to the drawing. And I'll darken this area underneath here. So way back to there. And this gets a little value there. And now we'll blend this a little bit. And I want to add some values in these boxes up here. Just indicate that there's one box sitting over the top of another one there. Okay. And this is some shadow here on this part. Okay. And there's a little bit of shadow right up, or light hitting this part of the deck up here. So I'm just going to indicate that there's maybe something creating a shadow there. Put a little bit of a highlight there. Okay. And let's see what else we got here. All right, I want to darken this area up here. So I will go with that extra dark pencil here. Because that's not only in the shade, but it's a black paint on there, so that gets quite a bit of quite a dark value there. This is a Derwent Onyx, which is a new product they've got out, and it is an extra black pencil, extra dark. It's very, very nice. I don't mind leaving some lines like that in. I kind of like that in a drawing. I've said this before, I like a drawing that you can see that it looks like it's drawn by hand and not by a machine. I'm not a big fan of digital art. I've done digital art before, and it's fine if you want to turn out something fast, but I'm not a big fan of it. Some people do really well with it, but I don't. And I'm going to darken this right where it comes together there with the boat. Just put a little bit darker line in there. And this gets pretty dark, this thing, this rudder. And the propeller prop. Call it a prop on a boat, a propeller on an airplane. And this shadow is pretty even here. Okay. And I'm going to do something with this little bird right here. Just got a little bit of shadow on the underside of it, right there. And a few little rocks around here. Something to indicate the gravel and the sand there. Just a little bit of a indication of that edge there. And there's some stuff going on out here. You can really get into a lot of detail if you want to. And this, since you're the artist, you decide what you want to include and what you don't want to include. It's a nice thing about drawing. You can decide what you want to leave in and what you want to leave out. shadow underneath here. Okay, I'm not going to go into a lot more detail on this because it's just carrying this water out here and adding some more little things, little features like we did right there. So I think that's going to be just about where I'm going to leave it at this point. And I hope you enjoyed that video. Again, this whole thing of doing a grid and blowing it up, I cover that on video number 5. It's called Scaling Up. And you can check that one out on YouTube, and it'll explain how I did this. So see you on video number 9.